Hi, I'm Bob Nystrom.
Hi, this is Bo Dietl.
Hey, this is Rich Big Daddy Salgado.
Hi, this is Don Goodell. You're watching Sports Biz.
Sports Biz.
Sports Biz with LD.
Sports fans, this is Sports Biz with LD.
Welcome to Sports Biz with LD. I'm your host, Larry Davis, brought to you by the Rampart Insurance Group. For all your insurance needs, therampartgroup.com. A1 VIP Entertainment for all your tickets and meet and greet wants and needs. A1 VIP Entertainment is the place for you. 388 Restaurant and Lounge, located at 388 Willis Avenue in Roslyn, New York. And our newest helper to the show, and love to have him on, Easy Pawn, PAWN Corp, for all your pawn needs. You have something, need the money, don't need the money, doesn't really matter. Go to Easy Pawn with 15 convenient locations throughout the city. You want money, you get it now, cash on hand. EasyPawn.com. And of course, the Daily Blue. Without Daily Blue, you would not be able to see me. And if I had a guest, but today I have no guest, so I'm going solo. Let's start. A week ago Monday, not this past Monday, a week before, I went to the premiere of a buddy of mine who's been on the show, Ray Negron, Henry and Me, an animated Yankee movie that Ray was able to get because of association with the Yankees. Ray Negron, the quick story about Ray, is 41 years ago, he was caught spray painting the side of Yankee Stadium by the boss, George Steinbrenner. I didn't know this, but in Yankee Stadium, there was a jail in the old Yankee Stadium, an actual jail. And so they caught him, they put him down in the jail. A couple hours later, and he is nervous. He's sitting in that cell. He's 16, 17 years old. He thinks his life is over. He gets summoned up to the boss's office. Unbeknownst to him, the boss being the boss, and you hear these stories a lot about how great he is, not just the yelling and screaming, puts his arm around Ray, makes him a bat boy, and 41 years later, like I said, special advisor to the Yankees. He's been with them all these years. And Ray is the kind of guy with these kind of relationships with the boss, with the front office, with all the players that have come through Yankee Stadium, never looking to make money for himself. He's not that kind of guy. I got to tell you, I don't know many people like that. Most people are all about, how can I make some money for myself? I'm with these players. They like me. That pinstripe, all it does, that Yankee pinstripe just makes money. Cha-chang, cha-chang, for everybody associated. Never been that kind of guy, Ray. So it ends up, he's written a couple of children's books, and then he wrote this book, animated movie called Henry and Me, about a boy, 8-9-year-old boy. He's playing baseball with his dad. All of a sudden he doesn't feel well. Ends up he has cancer, goes to the hospital. The Henry part is Lou Gehrig, because Lou Gehrig's name is Henry Louis Gehrig. That is played by Richard Gere. The Bambino is played by Chaz Palminteri. So let's go with a couple of photos from there. So, of course, we have the Henry and Me. Then the next photo is myself and my daughter, Chloe, going to a premiere. And I'll tell you something. I've probably done mostly everything you could ask for in sports, behind the scenes, front of the scenes, every game. I can't think of much I haven't done. Never been to a premiere of a movie. It was very cool. I was supposed to take my wife. She couldn't make it. Took my daughter. I mean, really cool. Very, very cool. A lot of fun. Next photo we got is me, my daughter, and Ray Negron, who wrote the film and then had a screenwriter put it on film. Next photo we have is myself and my daughter with Omar Minaya. Omar has also been on the show. Omar is the former general manager of the Mets during the Mets run in the late 2000s, late 2007, 8, 9, 10, when the Mets actually made it to the World Series with Willie Randolph as the manager. good run they had. A lot of the players the Mets have right now were picked by Omar Minaya. Next photo, Chaz Palminteri, pretty famous actor. One of his famous things is he wrote, directed, and produced A Bronx Tale, which starred a guy I'm sure everyone knows, Robert De Niro. Very good movie. Chaz, a huge sports fan. Chaz calls into different sports shows all the time. Very knowledgeable in sports too, and of course, like every other New Yorker who calls into shows or who doesn't call into shows, has opinions and has his thought process. And I remember he'd walked into one of the stores I had owned in Armonk, and Last Licks in Armonk, came in, ends up I had found out from him and some other people he was with, I think one of the Baldwin brothers was with him as well, that he was a huge Jorge Posada fan. I ended up getting Jorge to write, to Chaz, biggest fan, something like that, and got it to his house. Chaz was very, very grateful for something cool like that. Next photo, I'm sure everyone knows who he is. Myself, my daughter, with the Yankee manager, Joe Girardi, who's also in the movie, plays himself, and his daughter is in the movie as well. They were both at the event. And then the last one's interesting, this last photo. And I'll tell you, right after this photo, someone who was with this gentleman took 5 photos of him, myself, and my daughter. My phone dies. There were so many other people there that I wanted to get a photo for myself and my daughter. Richard Gere, Paul Simon, Cyndi Lauper, CeCe Sabathia, Teixeira. There were so many people there who ended up, but we didn't get photos with because my phone died. But this particular gentleman is sitting next to me. I don't know who he is. And at the end of the movie, I just say to him, I said, boy, there's a lot of credits in this movie. And he said, when they sent me the film to watch, probably about a month ago, he says, I watched it at home on my TV, on my TV in his house. And he said that, now watching it on the big screen, it's so big. And I really was looking at him thinking he was an investor. I was like, how'd you get the movie so early? He wasn't an investor. He says, I'm in the movie. I'm like, who are you in the movie? He says, I played my dad. I said, who's your dad? Mickey Mantle. That is cool. So that's David Mantle. I asked David, will he come on the show? He said, absolutely. So I got to tell you, that will be a great show. And we get the great David Mantle, son of one of the greatest Yankees, if not one of the greatest baseball players of all time, the Mickey Mantle. That will be great. There'll be plenty of stories I'm sure David can tell us. And as we know, the world's in love with Mickey Mantle. So I had to talk about that because I just thought that was a very cool thing to do. You can go see the movies. You can go on Amazon. I'm not sure when the movie's coming out in theaters, if it will, because it's an independent film. Go on Amazon, go on the Henry and Me website, go on our website, sportsbizwithld.com, which I failed to mention that, sportsbizwithld.com. You can always Facebook us at sportsbizwithld, and of course, Twitter at sportsbizwithld. Go on the website. I'm going to hook that stuff up, show you where you can go buy the Henry and Me movie, and my daughter loved it. Let's move on. Off my chest, something that really had bothered us here at the show for a while when it happened, the whole Ray Rice incident. And the uproar was as it should be. Nobody was happy with Roger Goodell for only a 2-game suspension. Well, here we are. It's probably about a month later. Roger Goodell has finally spoken. Big headlines in the paper. I made a mistake. He's right. Listen, it takes a big person in this world to admit they're wrong. People don't want to say they're wrong. He was wrong. I'm going to quote you and read a little bit from the article. The speech was very long, so we're not getting into the whole thing, but basically he's acknowledging that he didn't get it right, which is true. I don't know anyone who agreed with him. I would think maybe, Ray Rice's family is very happy there was only 2 games because he doesn't want to lose a lot of money. But deep down, I would think they would agree, if they took a truth pill, that 2 games was a joke, was a slap on the wrist, and really showed maybe that the NFL is not taking domestic violence as serious as it should be and as serious as we all think it is. He sent a letter to all 32 owners, never mentioning Rice by name, but he makes it clear in the reference to the Baltimore player who was charged with assault after being caught on video dragging his then fiancée off a casino elevator. I quote, "My disciplinary decision led the public to question our sincerity, our commitment, and whether we understood the toll that domestic violence inflicts on so many families. I take responsibility for both the decisions and for ensuring that our actions in the future properly reflect our values," Goodell wrote. "I didn't get it right. Simply put, we have to do better, and we will." He did what he had to do. And I don't think it was just the public uproar, which was huge. I think deep down he realized that, everyone was right, that he didn't get it. And who knows what he really was thinking about when he did say only 2 games. Since January 2000, 77 players have been involved in 85 domestic violence incidents, with 6 being cut by their teams, meaning teams cut them right away. Wouldn't even accept it. Again, depends on the level of talent. We'll get into the Josh Gordon in a couple of minutes about him being, but totally different, but a different way that he's not in the NFL. We'll get to that in a second. But of those 6 players, what level were they? If they weren't a big deal, you didn't really need them, you can cut them and make yourself look great. If it was a star player, they're not cutting them so quick. The NFL suspended 6 players for 1 game each. Rice was the second player to be suspended for 2 games. Panthers defensive end Greg Hardy, who on this show, when we had Steve, our attorney, our criminal attorney, call into the show to talk about the Ray Rice incident, he kept bringing up Greg Hardy as an example. He was convicted in July of assaulting his ex-girlfriend and has appealed for a jury trial set for November. The league punishment has not been announced. What's Goodell waiting for? We don't know. Sometimes they like to say, well, we're going to wait what happens in the court of law before we decide what we're going to do. Because if the court of law ends up saying they're innocent, they feel they shouldn't do anything. Okay. I mean, if they end up the guy's innocent, that's one thing. We will see how the league handles pending case. And NFL spokesman Greg Aiello said in an email, each case will be addressed individually on its own merit. Domestic violence. I'm really not sure what that means. Whether you hit someone, drag someone, I don't really know what the difference is. Unless you killed them, God forbid. Otherwise, once the first hit is done, does it really matter if you hit him twice, 3 times, 4 times? I wouldn't think it does matter. Outrage over Rice's punishment prompted 3 members of Congress to write to the commissioner, asking him to reconsider Rice's suspension. The governor of Maine also threatened to boycott the league. And numerous groups that advocate for women and families condemned the penalty as too lenient. The memo also says that violation of the league personal conduct policy regarding assault, battery, domestic violence, and sexual assaults that involve physical force will be subject to enhanced discipline. Exactly. As we do, quote, as we do in all disciplinary matters, if we believe the player's due process rights are infringed upon during the course of discipline, we will asset and defend our members' rights, the union statement says. That's the union. Everyone's got to defend. I'm sure the players' union understands this is unacceptable, and hopefully they will come down to something a little better than 2 games. Now, the NFL's new policies are this. First offense equals a 6-game suspension without pay. First offense. Could be longer based on pleas agreements or player's case, so it could be longer. Second offense, now we're talking. Second offense is a lifetime ban. Player can ask for reinstatement after a year, but it is not guaranteed. Okay? Commissioner has fixed something that looked terrible with the NFL. Which again, let's remember, on a sports business show, we like to bring these numbers up. The NFL is a $9 billion business. Now, if he left it at 2 games and didn't do this, would the NFL season go on? Will everything be okay? I guess business-wise, yes. But Roger Goodell did what he's supposed to do. Heard everyone, people complaining, having no one agreeing with him, at least as far as I would see, and did what he needed to do. He fixed it and made it hopefully right, and hopefully these people get help, and it's only one time and it doesn't happen again. Let's hope so. Let's move on, keeping the NFL in the news. Here we go, Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon with the Cleveland Browns. Now, Josh Gordon is one of the premier players in the league, missing 2 games last year in a 16-game schedule, led the league in receiving yards. Okay? This guy's a bowler. This guy's a player. This is the example I used for Ray Rice. He did not. Domestic violence is not what we're going to talk about with Josh Gordon, so I don't get mixed up there. But player like him, if he wasn't great, he'd be cut, move on in the domestic violence world. In this particular situation, he tested positive for marijuana for the 3rd time. Now, some people are going, oh, what's the big deal? It's marijuana. Bottom line, it's still illegal in most states, and the NFL has rules in place that has been agreed upon with the NFL Players Union and the NFL. So you cannot compare the two. 3rd marijuana suspension, he's out for a year. He was arrested for DWI in July, suspended 2 games in 2013 for substance abuse. So there's a pattern here. Josh is hanging out with the wrong crew, and he doesn't care, it seems. Keeps smoking weed. Doesn't even matter. And he gets suspended for a year. Now, his next move was he tried to go to the CFL, Canadian Football League, but I think it was 1996, the Canadian Football League and the NFL put a deal together that anyone who's suspended from the NFL cannot just go play in the CFL. Now, the money is totally different, probably 1/10 of the salaries in the CFL, but they gave him a place to play. Now, he has nowhere to play. The Arena Football League, the indoor league, is part of the NFL. Wouldn't be able to play there either. He had problems with marijuana in college twice at Baylor. So again, the talent rises, people try to overlook this, or should they have gotten, like some teams have, someone to hang out with him and watch what he's doing? You know, I'm talking from the Cleveland Browns standpoint, not the NFL. The NFL is here. Cleveland owns the player. Cleveland's his employer. Cleveland pays him a big dollar salary. Cleveland wants him on the field. Wide receivers like him make the quarterbacks a lot better than they are. Just like a great example will be this year in Philadelphia when Nick Foles, the quarterback who took over for Michael Vick last year, who is now with the Jets. Nick Foles had 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Okay? He had that gentleman, Mr. Jackson, as a receiver, who was great, who's now at Washington, who for whatever reason, Chip Kelly, the coach, got rid of him. He had like 1,300 yards last year, over 10 touchdowns. And they got rid of him. Nick Foles is going to miss him. Just like, and Josh Gordon had all these yards last year with 2 or 3 different quarterbacks for the Browns last year. So this guy could have really helped Brian Hoyer, who's the starting quarterback for the Browns, and Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, who did not win the starting job, could have helped him as well. A great wide receiver makes a quarterback better than they are. So, this I agree with, because those are the rules. Smoking too much weed, getting DWIs, there's a process in the NFL. He's suspended for a year. Josh Gordon, let's hope he ends up coming back and just doesn't smoke, drink, and wherever else he does with his friends all football season, because this guy could, hopefully we don't see him in the news for something really bad. Continuing with football, let's move on to collegiate football. It's a shame. I mean, what's going on in the show? All these things in the news that I'm talking about, you know, I shouldn't be talking about all this stuff. Josh Shaw, USC cornerback, claimed he was injured saving his nephew from drowning on Saturday. He later came out saying he fabricated the story and injured himself in a fall. USC suspended him indefinitely. He may be suspect. He's a suspect now. I think it was Channel 4, NBC Sports, that someone has given his description to the authorities that he was at a break-in near the USC campus on Saturday, believing that's maybe where he injured himself, and he might be going to jail for this. Josh Shaw, was a very good player, defensive back. Now, who knows what happens to his career? I think he was a fifth-year player now. He was redshirted. I mean, Josh Shaw, what are you doing? I mean, lying, I guess if it ended up that he did do something bad like that, now we know why he's trying to lie. But this is terrible. And then Anthony Brown, fellow player on USC, quit USC just yesterday, calling the head coach, Steve Sarkisian, called him a racist and said he treated him like a slave. This is USC. This is the Trojan. This is a storied franchise in Southern California where they play the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl is played in Pasadena, California. It's one of the biggest stadiums in the country, 104,000 people. This is where USC plays their home games. They're one of the biggest money makers in collegiate sports. I mean, what is going on here? He's coming out and calling the coach a racist. This is terrible. What is going to happen here? What is going on with them? It's just a shame because this is not what I want the show to be about, but on the business end, this is why it's on the show. Because when you have a guy like Josh Gordon with the Cleveland Browns, he helps the Browns win games. He helps the Browns sell everything about the Cleveland Browns. Doesn't help. USC, one of the biggest collegiate sports teams in collegiate football, which is another billion-dollar business. And then you have this one calling a coach a racist. I mean, what is going on here? I just don't know. But in the business of sports, this stuff has got to stop somehow, some way. These players need help. They're reaching out for help. Goodell is trying to straighten out the best he can. The violence going on in the NFL to everyone is unacceptable. We need to figure out why these players are so violent. And again, it's not all of them. It's a small percentage. So we need to figure that out. So on that note, where we are right now, of course, we'll talk a little baseball before we got to go. Mets, of course, are out. Yankees, the Yankees spending $500 million going nowhere fast. And they can continue to win 2, lose 1, lose 3, win 1. Doesn't really matter. The Yankees are done. Mets are done. And let me tell you something. Look at the Jets and Giants. I don't know if we're going to have any football this year. Giants look terrible. The Jets are terrible. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're looking like we got to find other teams. I'm still going to root for my Giants because they are my Giants, but we're going to have to find some other teams to root for. Find some great football out there, which there will be, because the NFL is fantastic. I want to thank my sponsors. Again, it's amazing how quickly these shows go. I want to thank my sponsors. 388 Restaurant and Lounge. Great food. 388 Willis Avenue, Roslyn, New York. Rampart Insurance Group for all your insurance needs. Rampart Insurance Group. A1 VIP Entertainment for all your tickets and meet and greet needs. And our newest sponsor, EZ Porn Corp. 15 locations throughout the city. If you're in trouble or not in trouble, you just need cash. You go into one of their locations, they will buy your item on the spot. I want to thank Daily Blue. Without them, we would not be seen. And of course, you can go to our Facebook page, Sports Biz with LD. You could tweet at me, Sports Biz with LD, and our website. Forget our website, which has all other stuff on there, other photos that don't make the show, giveaways. Also, we're going to find out next week probably who won the ticket giveaway to go to the Ducks game. Remember I said last week we're going to go to the Ducks game. We're going to bring the show to the Ducks game. How great is that going to be? Sports Biz with LD. I'm your host, Larry Davis. We'll see you next week.
Sports Biz is sponsored by the Rampart Insurance Group for all your insurance needs. Special thanks to mintpros.com. Brought to you by the Daily Blue Network. Sports fans, this is Sports Biz with LD.